Deja vu all over again. We are back at the Lusail International Circuit for the deciding race weekend of the FIA World Touring Car Championship for 2017. Hello, good evening, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Thank you for joining us as we get ready for the last two races of the 2017 season and the last two races under the current set of regulations for the technical side of the sport. Next year, we understand there is likely to be a sea change in the machinery used in the FIA World Touring Car Championship, but hopefully lots of familiar names and faces will still be with us. Hello, I'm Martin Haven. Matt Neal will be with us in just a second as we get ready for the start of the action. So for those of you who haven't quite caught up with proceedings earlier today, here's the deal. Volvo's Ted Björk, the championship leader, coming here by 6.5 points, has added 2 further points to his tally, is now 8.5 points ahead of Honda's Norbert Michels. And that's because Norby had a brake problem. The master cylinder seized during the second qualifying run. He was 4,000ths of a second, 400ths of a second away from being in 10th position on the qualifying order, which would have put him on the reverse grid pole. However, it is this man, Kevin Gleeson of the USA, who is our reverse grid pole sitter. So he is the pole man for the second time this season on the opening race of a World Touring Car weekend. As he comes round to the grid, everybody else is forming up nicely in their positions. The story of Norbert Michels then is he got no points out of qualifying, and he will start both races here from 11th place.
Mehdi Banani, you are P4 in this opening race. What do you feel like you can do? You know you've got the pace. Can you get around those top 3?
I hope so. For sure, our goal is to fight for the overall championship. We are still on the good position and we are still good challenge now to fight for it. And it's not easy. Huh? It's very tricky. It's gonna be very tough races, both races, and until the last race of the race 2, we're gonna not know who is the world champion. I hope to be on the top 3. This is my goal. I hope it's like a dream if I can do it, and I will do my best in race 1 to try to fight to record maximum points and to stay connected with the top 3 drivers. But it's going not to be easy. I think now the strongest driver will be more on the mental side than the physical side, on the quickest one of drivability. And I hope to be stronger in my mental. Thanks.
Mehdi Banani currently lying 3rd in the points, 216 points to the leader's 257. So potentially in with a chance, but his main focus is going to be the World Touring Car Trophy for the independents. He is half a point behind Tom Chilton, and Rob Huff is right in there as well.
Here with Rob Huff, P3 and P8. Now, you said in the press conference that you weren't specifically fighting for the championship per se, but lots of people around you are. What is your strategy? What do you think you can do?
I'm here to win, simply. Ultimately, if we can, move forward, get on the podium, get a win, that's the way we want to finish the season. We obviously had a fantastic Macau, and yeah, we're here to do the best we can. We're not here to do anything else other than our own job and care about ourselves. So what will be in the race will be. It's for them to look after themselves or fight themselves, choose whatever they want to do, and yeah, they're the ones with things to win and lose. We're just here to simply, do our best and finish the season on a high.
So there will be no favouritism, definitely, from Rob. Former teammates, former rivals, I suppose, pretty much, going for the title as well as current rivals, and he is really just going to play his own game. But everybody will be aware very much that particularly for the main World Touring Car Champion title, there are 2 drivers in it. Now, our opening race grid, Kevin Gleeson and John Philippi are the front row, ahead of Chris Richard. Now, he's back in the Campos Racing Chevrolet because Esteban Guerreri is back at Honda because Thiago Monteiro, though he's here, is not fit. Then Mehdi Bonani and Tom Chilton vying for the independent trophy, and Ivan Muller, yes, in a Volvo. You missed that, didn't you? He's in instead of Nestor Girolami to support Ted Bjerg. Rog Huff starts 8th, Nicky Kasberg 9th, and Esteban Guerreri 10th. Guerreri will be the main race pole sitter. Teammate Norbert Michelis, master cylinder failure in Q2 means he'll start 11th for both races. Michigami 13th for both races. Jan Elachet had a wretched time in qualifying after being hit in free practice, and he will start in 14th with the Sengo Motorsport Hondas 15th and 16th on the grid. So 11th on the grid, but Norbert Michelis can take some solace in the fact that his car is the quickest thing out there.
Hello everyone, I hope you can hear me. I hope you enjoyed your afternoon so far. As you can see, we arrived to the last race of the 2017 WTCC season. And yeah, it's been an exciting season with a lot of up and downs. Unfortunately, qualifying did not really go well for me. But starting from P11 after a technical problem, I still think all is there. It's possible to become a world champion. I'll do my best. Thank you very much for your support so far, and I promise to give you a good show. Bye-bye.
Well, there's no doubt that Norby is a fighter. The Honda is very quick around here, quicker than the Volvos, and that's borne out by the fact that he is comfortably topped every timing session until qualifying, and that Esteban Guerreri was a long way clear in racing terms in the Q3 pole shootout. But Ted Bjerg has 2 better positions on the grid and a points lead and 2 strong teammates around him to help back him up.
We're live from Qatar, and it feels great to stand in this race. You know, it's so much feelings. It's the end of the season. I'm so proud to be here with all my team and all the effort that's been put into this, and it just feels great. And I would like to say hello to everybody at home and my family. I love you, my daughter, my wife, and my little boy, and yeah, it's so great to be here.
Well, either driver would be a fitting champion, and of course that's not just the driver's title being fought, also the manufacturer's title is being fought out between Volvo, who had a 12.5 points lead and now have a 16.5 points lead, and Honda. And Honda, of course, not only was Norbert individually hampered by that brake problem in qualifying, but because they couldn't change the master cylinder before Mach 3, so was the Honda team. So they lost a further 4 points. Had they been able to use their cars at full pace, it's entirely possible they might have beaten Volvo, and we'd be looking at an 8.5 point gap rather than a 16.5 point gap. So that was a big swing. Tom Coronel's Royal Motorsport boys, he lines up in 12th place on the grid, and with a potential change of regulations to the TCR rules next year, will Royal be back? They might be. Will Tom be back? Well, he's raced TCR cars, as a number of the drivers have on the grid, so he's already got some experience of that, and what it could do is throw open a whole load of possibilities in terms of potential new arrivals and returnees to the championship. But the big news is Norbert Michelis, only 11th place on the grid, and Matt Neal, that's a really tough break for him, but the only thing he can do now is completely forget about it and bear in mind that he's got the quickest car in the place. So we'll get to that in just a moment. Take a quick pause for our Eurosport viewers. So Esteban Guerreri, 10th place on the opening race grid, but that's because he was the fastest of all in qualifying. So it's not just Norby finding the speed in the car, Matt. Guerreri's got it there as well. It is a quick car on this circuit. So you've just got to focus on that, haven't you? And use the speed of the car to try and make sure that you can do something to help your own championship chances.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. You know, obviously Volvo, it's swung Volvo's way now. They hold all the cards, but nothing's over till the fat lady sings, as they say. But you know, anything's possible.
Yeah.
You know, Hamilton's first championship win in Formula One, he lost it a lap before the end.
Yes.
Or a corner
exactly
before
right.
the end.
Yeah, no, well, yes, and then his first win, he won it on the final lap. So yeah, it's everything is possible, but the likelihood is that with a points advantage and two strong teammates around him, Ted Björk has a better shot at this. But better doesn't mean that it is out of reach, and in fact, it's unlikely to be out of Norby's reach until race 2 here, until the main race, until the very final race of the season. Ivan Muller returning to the fold is an indication that Volvo really, really wants to win the manufacturer's crown. They want a 4-time world champion, pushing the car forward as hard as they can. Part of their problem is this battle in the middle of the grid between Tom Chilton and Mehdi Benani, because they will have all eyes on each other, both trying to win the independent championship. So you've got to get through that battle, and neither of them is going to want to let you by.
Yeah, it seems to be really a Citroen battle, doesn't it? So and it's close.
It is very close.
That's what you
half
can say.
A point in
close.
it. Half a point between Mehdi Benani and Tom
Chilton. They're close to each other on points, and they're close to each other on track. So
yeah,
they're not really going to be looking out for others.
No, and right in front of them, John Philippi and Chris Richard are likely to be holding Benani up, because his car is quicker than theirs, and that gives Chilton a chance to attack that he must really use. Chris Richard in third place on the grid. Great opportunity for the young Swiss driver. Best of the Chevrolets after qualifying. Chris Richard, third place on the grid. And on the front row for the opening race here in Qatar is Frenchman John Philippi in his Citroën C-Élysée. And he is on the outside the front row. Kevin Gleeson in his Lada Vesta is the man who will start from the DHL pole position. So looking further back down the grid and all the way up to the front. Kevin Gleeson, for the second time this season, starting from pole position. He told us after qualifying that they'd made some changes after free practice, some of which worked, some of which didn't. So he was hoping that they'd go back and undo the ones that didn't. Now, quite often that sort of undoes the ones that do as well, though, because all these things are interconnected. So often, Matt, you'll make a change that's better in one area, worse in another, and then you have to decide whether you liked the way that it wasn't doing something before and the way over the way it's not doing something now, and sort of sort out
that's
the balance.
where the experienced drivers score well, because it's always about a compromise. The car is never going to be perfect, so it's trying to make it better in more corners than it's worse, and it's also trying to make the car in the points of the circuit where you can attack, and so you can get a good run on other cars. And if you're going to make it weak, then also looking after your tires. It's a massive jigsaw puzzle which you have to play with and sort of work out, and that's why experience does count for a lot in these things.
With the drivers and with the engineers, and if you get an experienced driver and an experienced engineer who can decipher driver chatter and actually turn it into something meaningful and technical, then you've really got a partnership on your hands.
Yes, a lot of the younger drivers sometimes tune a car to be nice to drive rather than fast, and often a fast car is not pleasant to drive.
There is a big difference. Kevin Gleeson, John Philippi, your front row starters. Gleeson on the right as we see it, driver's left. Chris Richard and Mehdi Benani, and then Tom Chilton and Ivan Muller on row 3 of the grid. Further back, Ted Björk starts 7th, Rob Huff 8th. Huffy saying he's determined to try and win a race. That might possibly be the second one, although I think he's got a better chance in the first race. 11th on the grid for both races is Norbert Mikulits, 13th Ria Michigami, 14th Yann Haché. The Zengo Motorsport duo are on the 8th row of the grid for both of the encounters here in Qatar. So the final night of racing in the championship is about to get underway. The green flag lap. No need for a safety car start here. There is a bit of a brisk breeze, but it is still very warm. Track temperature is very decent, though not particularly scorchio. However, because the sandy nature of the surroundings, it is a low grip surface and the tyres will wear fast. So for those further back, Matt, if they've got a speed advantage, they need to capitalise on it really, really quickly and expect to see Guerreri and Mikulits trying to fire their way through this pack as fast as they humanly can. They start 10th and 11th.
Yeah, all the teams were very worried about tyre wear when we came here last year, and you know, with the low grip surface, you know, you do promote sliding and so accentuate tyre wear, but the tyres held on really well, and we had some actually cracking races, you know, and people were able to move up and down positions. So as we say, it's not over for Mikulits, but his big problem is he's starting both races behind not one but all three Volvos with decent pedalers and
yeah,
some quite wildcats in there. So he's had the pace.
Yeah.
When his Honda's been running in free practice, he was literally unmatchable.
And in this opening race, that guy in front of him, who's right in front of him now, they're 10th and 11th on the grid, Esteban Guerreri. Guerreri's going to have to just try and, you know, open the door, and Norby's going to have to try and follow him through. You saw Thiago Monteiro there in the garage, back with the team. Unfortunately, not quite fit enough to race yet.
And they've got nothing to lose, Martin. You know, they can literally just throw caution to wind if they go and they damage the car. They've lost nothing. Except
that Guerreri starts on pole position for the main race if the car's all in one piece, and there is still the manufacturer's crown to be thought about as well. And you can't throw all caution to the wind and just pin all your hopes on trying to get Norby to win it when you might actually somehow be able to outmaneuver Volvo as well. Don't forget, the Honda is a quicker car around here. Yeah, but Guerreri can't do it on his own. No, but he needs, with Norby needs to go with potential good scoring Volvos, he needs the other two Hondas to score well as well. So if they don't score, and Michigami really starting where he is and his pace earlier on this weekend, he looks unlikely to score strong points. Yep. So you've got to work as a pairing for Mikulits and Esteban. Yeah. Nevertheless, those three blue cars, and Rob Huff and the two other Sebastian Loeb Racing Citroens in front. I mean, none of them are going to be easy passes. There's not any long straights here, apart from the first pit straight, and that's not a big one either. Nervous times in Qatar. The FIA World Touring Car Championship comes to its conclusion. 2 races to decide almost everything in the championship. The driver's crown, the manufacturer's title, the independent's crown, the team's title are up for grabs. And it's going to be very interesting to see exactly how this works. On pole position for our opening race, Kevin Gleeson's Lada ahead of John Philippi, Chris Richard and Mehdi Benani. The Drivers' Championship contenders, 7th on the grid, Ted Björk, 11th, Norbert Mikulits. We are ready to get this underway. It's Volvo versus Honda, advantage Volvo. It's Björk versus Mikulits, advantage Björk. Can either of those advantages be overhauled in 2 races? 55 points maximum on offer. Mathematically, it can be done. Okay, the field is complete, waiting for the red lights to come on. Green flag waves. 5-second board being given by our race director, and the red lights are on. At a very short change, away we go. Looking a long way back. Not a great start from Norbert Mikulits, who is not too bad alongside Esteban Guerreri. In fact, he got away a little quicker. I was looking a row too far back. Kevin Gleeson with the lead. Benani's already by Philippi, and Chilton is coming around the outside too. So they've disposed of Chris Richard, who's sort of been swamped by the blue train as well. The blue meanies all going by on the inside as Ivan Muller drifts out wide to give a little room to Nicky Katzberg, and also just to ease Chris Richard out of the way. Rob Huff's gone through as well. So Kevin Gleeson, the leader, 10 laps of this circuit. He's got to hold off 3 Citroens. Then 3 Volvos and another Citroen before we even get to the Hondas getting terms. So it's going to be a long, tough race for Chris Richard. Mehdi Benani in front of Tom Chilton there, the independent title rivals, and between them at the moment is John Philippi, and we're with Rob Huff, who's splitting the Volvos. So far, Norbert Mikulits has moved up a couple of spots. He's inside Chris Richard. He goes through. So too does Esteban Guerreri. So a good, clean start from everybody. But Chris Richard has got his work cut out for him, hasn't he?
Absolute textbook start from Gleeson there, and he's holding his own at the moment. But those Citroens behind him are going to be quicker. It's a bit of smoke in the background there, or dust.
Yep, dust from the sand on the runoff areas.
Bjorn's going to be driving around that middle pack like he's on his driving test. First challenge at his driving test, you know, just trying to be careful and avoid everybody else around him.
Norbert Mikulits behind Nicky Katzberg. This is the first of the hard passes he's going to have to try and make. Getting by every one of these Volvos is going to be a massive battle for him, because neither Katzberg nor Ivan Muller will want to let the Honda by and to allow him get to Ted Björk. I said that it was Chris Richard. Of course, it's not. It's a massive job for Nick Gleeson to try and hang on, Kevin Gleeson to try and hang on in front. But at the moment, he is the race leader, 1 lap down. Mehdi Benani is sizing him up from behind. What's the Volvo Lada got in terms of legs? Well, hang on a minute. They've got away from Mehdi Benani behind. Rob Huff trying to get around Ivan Muller.
Ooh, Benani's gone all the way around the outside.
Yeah. Well, he's got the grip in the Citroen, hasn't he? And manages to use it early on. Chilton inside John Philippi, so he moves up to 3rd. But between him and Benani is Gleeson, who is also an independent. So at the moment, Benani has taken the lead of the Indies from Chilton. Looking back from Mehdi Benani now, he's got to clear off and assume that Chilton will have to spend another lap following Kevin Gleeson before he can try and get by on the straight and into corner 1.
Chilton's going to see Benani disappearing off up the road now, and he's going to wonder, he needs to make hay, he needs to get past Gleeson and make chase. Yeah,
trying to stick his nose through on the inside there. Didn't work for him, and he's lost a bit of ground to John Philippi, and here comes Ted Björk, first of the Volvos. Mikulits can't get by Katzberg. And Huff can't get by Muller either in the other Volvo, which is the middle of the 3. Huff cutting the corner. You saw the sand coming up in the air, the dust.
Yeah, Muller's going to be under increasing pressure from Huff very soon, so Björk can't afford just to sit there and relax. He's got to take the opportunities if they come his way.
Well, he's outscoring Norby at the moment, but he's not putting it out of reach. Norby is not yet in a position to get by Nicky Katzberg. He's in 9th place, so he'll score a couple of points, but that's not really doing him many favours. At the moment, where's Ted? 25, 18, 15, 13, 12, and he'll get a 10-point advantage, which will put him 16.5 points ahead, 18.5 points ahead. So it's not quite enough in a 30-point maximum score for race 2. We'll keep this alive as it is now.
Mikulits has been quick all week in that final 2 sectors, but he just doesn't seem to be able to get up onto the back of Katzberg.
Okay, well, now that's what Guerreri is thinking. Okay, Norbert, you can't get to him. Let me get through and open the door. And Gleeson with Chilton around the outside. He's going for 2nd, exactly as Benani did. Saw it done. And it's that outside-inside move. Well, that was really interesting, because Esteban Guerreri clearly is going, okay, Norbert, you're stuck. You can't get by. Let me have a go. I can afford to really be adventurous and try and get by Katzberg. If he defends hard against me, it doesn't end the championship for you. And I think that's really good thinking by Guerreri. He's only a stand-in driver, don't forget. He doesn't want to queer his pitch with Honda by not finishing, but he sees the problem that
but they've got to do
Mikulits
it quick while the tyres are still fresh. The Honda's fast on when the tyres are good.
They've got to do something,
so
haven't they?
They need to make the call. If they're going to do it, they've got to call quick.
Well, at the moment,
Benani's escaping.
Benani's running away from Chilton, but Chilton's going to run away as well from Kevin Gleeson. And Gleeson holding up John Philippi means it's very tough for Ted Björk to try and get by. Philippi has got to get by Gleeson before Björk to have a go, and I'm not sure that's going to happen.
Well, it just shows how safe Björk's taking it, because, you know, for No disrespect, Kevin Gleeson and Jean-Philippe just to still be sat there in front of him after near on 3 laps.
Ooh, mistake by Philippi, but there's not very many places to pass him at. You know, you've got to hurl it up the inside, but there's no straight long enough to get a run on anybody apart from the front straight, and even then you have to gird your loins and go the long way around the outside. Are we seeing a change behind? Yeah, Norby's pulled over to the driver's right, and around the outside of him on the racing line goes Esteban Guerreri. So there's confirmation of that into the final corner where it was safe to do so. Norby releases the Argentine to try and then have a go, and actually Mikulits, who's been the fastest man all weekend, is not as quick as the Volvos now.
Huffy trying to go around the outside.
Yeah, Huff trying to go around the outside. Does it work? He's seen the others do it, but the Volvo, not such an easy touch. He's going to try and go inside Muller, and Ivan knows that's coming and shuts the door.
Ivan knows the Citroen, he knows Huffy.
Yeah, and he knows where the attacks are likely to come here because he's got a good racing brain. Katzberg now under pressure from Guerreri, so immediately within 2 corners of releasing Guerreri from behind himself, Norby sees that Katzberg is coming under attack, and you know, all that's going to do, if Guerreri can't open the door and get by very quickly, is it's just going to drop them off the back of the Volvos even further, and then that's going to be pretty tough. Mehdi Banani leading the race from Tom Chilton by 1.6 seconds. Chilton was quicker on the last lap by 0.07 of a second, so very little between the 2 Citroens. And
the pace is extremely slow from 3rd place backwards.
Yeah, they're down in the 204s.
So you can see why they're concertining up the ones which look really irritable, like they want to get break free, are Huffy and Guerreri.
Yeah, Mikulits has barely got the pace to hold off Tom Coronel, and Coronel was only 12th in qualifying by the skin of his teeth. I mean, Norby was 2 seconds quicker than that before he had that brake problem. Now, why is there no speed in the car now? They've had hours to fix the brakes, and yet Norby, comfortably the fastest man, the only man who's ever lapped this circuit in less than 2 minutes, is now stuck doing 2-minute 4 laps and dropping away from his teammate. So what's happened to Norby's car, as well as that brake issue, or is that brake issue not fixed?
The one thing though, Martin, is Huffy having another go at Muller.
Yeah.
Do you want me to stay behind Huffy?
He's trying hard.
Doing a good job there, Nicky. If you can pass, do so. But just remember the risk.
Yeah, just remember the risk. The risk being, if you get it wrong, you allow the Hondas to go through.
Just to recap, these TC1 cars, they're very reliant on the aero. So when they get in a crocodile like this, you've got the front guys, they do lose downforce, they lose grip, and so they struggle to really exploit and get the times. When the front 2, who are setting better times, are in clear air.
Yeah.
So they're stuck behind Gleeson and Philippi in 3rd and 4th.
And they're all governed by the speed of the car in front, which is governed by the speed of the car in front. So when the...
And you've got Bjorg not wanting to take any risks.
Well, I was thinking that, you know, driving in, you're always, when you're on a motorway, you're governed by the speed
it's
of
a matter
the
of time,
second...
I think, before Guerreri's going to have a go at Katzberg.
Yeah, you're governed by the speed of the second slowest vehicle, aren't you? Because he always pulls out and blocks the road to pass the slowest vehicle, and so everybody has to slow down to that speed. And that's the same deal here, is that everybody's held up by Philippi not being able to get by Gleeson. So Gleeson's doing 2-minute 4 laps, which means everybody's doing 2-minute 4 laps.
Yeah, Bjorg's playing a very canny, very sensible game.
It's all
tactical.
fallen
He's winning it the
superbly
slowest
for him.
way he can.
It's superb, isn't it? You know, because the guys out front that want to win the race have gone. He's got 2 teammates behind holding up Huff, and that's slowing all of them
it's
down.
Not what we want to see.
No, I know, but for Björk, it's made in the shade.
What we need is Guerreri to get on the inside of Katzberg and then open the door for Michelitz and the pair of them to go through.
At the moment, Gleeson in 3rd, Philippi in 4th, and Björk actually, just in the last couple of corners, shaping up as though he might be thinking about having a go at John Philippi. Has somebody got on the radio with the calculator out and said, if you finish 3rd, you're going to be champion before the last race? I know everybody will be doing the counting, Look at Björk, he's tucked up right behind John Philippi, and there's a gap back to the Muller-Huff-Katzberg trio. And that means that if he has a little run at John Philippi and it doesn't work, it doesn't matter, he won't lose places. Lots of
yeah, John Philippi is renowned. He does make mistakes. So Björk, all he's got to do is sit there. It's a matter of time, I would have thought. But both Gleeson and Philippi, I think they're on for pretty much their best results ever.
At the moment, they definitely are. The battle between Mehdi Banani and Tom Chilton is pretty much stalemate. Tom's taken a tenth, nearly 2 tenths out of him actually in the last lap. So gap's down to 1.1 seconds. But that's a long way from Chilton being able to catch him and pass him. We're on lap 6 of 10. So there's the gap. It's visually half what it was, and that's encouragement for Chilton because his car was quicker in qualifying and is still quicker. But as soon as he gets within half a second of Mehdi Banani, then he's going to lose that clean air and he will lose that speed advantage. So he's going to have to catch him fast.
Interesting, Huff's dropped off the back of Muller now, so he's gone from real racy. Whether he's sort of took the best out of his tyres and he's now sort of starting to feel it a bit, but running nose to tail, you will do that.
Well, of course, that's what Ivan's been doing, holding him up, making him work his tyres more, making him work his brakes more, making him breathe in the hot air from the back of the Volvo, the turbulent air from the back of the Volvo, and so now he's been able to leave Rob behind and jump back up right onto the tail of Ted Björk, and that means that he's better placed to protect Björk because he can always do the same again, fall back and open up a gap to his teammate. No progress whatsoever for Norbert Mikulits, 10th place, teammate Esteban Guerreri in 9th, and you sense that the only advantage now is going to be at the line at the end of lap 10. Then Guerreri will pull to one side and give Norby the place back, and Norby will get another point, because at the moment, for some reason, the Hondas that were comfortably the quickest thing in qualifying can't match the Volvos in race pace.
Volvos, I mean, Chilton's closing Banani down now.
Yep.
6 tenths quicker on that last lap.
That gap's down to 6 tenths from nearly 1.2. So he's right there, but he has to pass now, otherwise he's going to be in the Huff situation where he's just burning up what little tyre he's got left. And Banani...
Well, Banani made a mistake, which we haven't quite copped on.
Tom was a couple of tenths quicker on the previous lap, so maybe he has made a little error.
Banani's going to be looking in his mirrors now, though.
There's the Banani garage. They're both, of course, run by Sebastian Loeb Racing. Different raft of sponsors, and they are battling each other. You can see as Banani just cuts the corner there, how much sand gets thrown up in the air every time.
So bragging rights, last ever weekend TC1 regulations. Everybody wants a win.
Banani playing a little bit fast and loose with the tyre stacks out there. As of now, Banani 2.5 points in front with 1 race to go. And in the main race, Chilton will start in front of Banani with a fractionally better point score on offer. So basically, if he finishes in front of Banani where they start, which is Tom in 6th and Banani in 7th, that's not enough. I think he needs another independent between them. Oh, here we go.
Flash on the headlights.
And who's that crawling, dawdling and mimsing along in front? Who was that? Was that... Am I imagining things? Was that just because Chilton was out of shot and Banani was on his own? Here we go. Banani holding to the outside line. And there's a great onboard view.
Chilton at the inside. Banani
contact between them. Oh, and Chilton's still there. Oh, more contact between them. Banani's still there. Oh, this is good stuff now. He's out, you know, track limits, blah, 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 contact, blah, blah, blah. Let's let them race. This is really good stuff. We get nothing from our main championship contenders. So the irony is our 2 independents are putting on a great race at the front. And that's Tom Chilton's family garage. They can't watch either.
Dad Graham can't look.
Well, listen, this is exactly what we wanted to see, a literally door-handled, or in this case, wheel arch to wheel arch battle.
Well, this is for the independents.
Supremacy. This is for championship. Exactly right. And Bernani knows that if Chilton finishes in front of him now, then he's got no options for the next race. He must finish in front of Chilton.
Chilton definitely the quicker of the two at the minute.
He is at the moment. He's going to throw everything, including the kitchen sink at him. He's got a little bit of an underlap.
Wrong side.
Wrong side.
A little bit of a nerve.
And that's the problem. There are no sort of consecutive corners here. Oh, apart from here. 12, 13, 14, 3 right-handers in succession. You use all the road, all a little bit more. And he's got through. Now, can he hang on, or can Bernani come back at him? Chilton has been quicker than Bernani in qualifying and in free practice. This is going to be really, really close. And this is a championship battle that is just as vital to its participants as the main title battle. Across the line comes the new race leader, Tom Chilton, the third different leader of this race. Kevin Gleeson led from pole position. Mehdi Bernani passed him in the early part of lap 2. And here comes Huff having a throw around the inside, outside of Muller. And again, Ivan just plays it straight down the middle of the bat and is not put off whatsoever by Rob, leaping around in his mirrors.
Muller's lost none of his composure, has he?
No, not at all. It's what all the grey hair's from, fighting off young whippersnappers. Absolutely straight down the middle.
Flashbacks of Chevy Cruze days, isn't he?
Yeah. Absolutely right. And behind him is still Nicky Katzberg in 8th. Norby's now up to 9th. Guerreri's given him the spot back. So Guerreri back down to 10th. Norby's now scoring a couple of points. And Ted Björk only in 5th position, but Ted Björk doesn't have to have a massive point score. He just has to not score fewer points than Norby in these two races, and that's all there is to it.
Martin, he doesn't even have to be in front of
no,
Norby.
But he just has to not score a lot fewer.
He just needs to finish and be in a position, keep his car in one piece, and be there for the second race.
Yeah, no, the cards have just fallen wonderfully for Ted Björk today. Yesterday it was looking a little bit like the Volvos were under pressure, and suddenly today some pressure relief valve has blown off and they are very much more comfortable. And in race pace, Norby throwing up the dust clouds behind him. But if Huff in a Citroen is struggling to get by, then Norby in the quickest car in the place, the Honda, is still definitely struggling to get by. Ivan Muller and Rob Huff now lapping in the 2-minute 5s. Norby 2:04 catching them, but he's not going to get by.
Chilton's checking out now. He's definitely got the car speed.
Half a second clear of Bernani. That's all he needs. Just needs
one lap to go for Gleeson and Philippi, the best ever results.
Yeah. Gleeson will be on the podium in 3rd place. John Philippi in 4th. And no need at all for Ted Björk to attack him. If Björk needed to win this, you can bet he'd have found a way, or engineered a way, made a way of getting by the Frenchman, but he doesn't need to win it. So there's no need to lay it on the line there and risk a 0-point score. And Rob Huff, 7th place, still can't get by Ivan Muller.
Yeah, it's off. He's having just he's had a frustrating one, hasn't he? He
Story
was
of his
so racy
season,
to
isn't
start
it?
with, and he's just settled down. Now he's almost falling back into the clutches of Katzberg.
It is the story of his season. Lots of potential and not much luck coming his way. Now then, interesting on the final lap is Norbert Mikulits going to have a lunge at Nicky Katzberg. He's very close indeed. Is the Honda suddenly coming into it 9 laps too late? Or is he just really pushing hard because it's all he's got left?
I'd say it's almost the others going backwards.
Yeah.
Martin,
well, he's still only doing 2-minute 4 last time round, 2-minute 4.9. He did a 1:59 yesterday. All right, only just sub 2 minutes, but still 4 seconds quicker than he can do now. Well, for Norbert Mikulits, this is an enormously frustrating race. For Ted Björk, probably highly tense. And for Tom Chilton, Instead of slipping behind Mehdi Banani in the points, he's now going to creep a fraction further away. Checkered flag awaits the end of 10 green flag laps. No safety cars, no slow zones, no full course yellows, no interruptions at all. And Chilton gains on Mehdi Banani, opens up an advantage. It's victory in the opening race for Tom Chilton.
An inch, but we respected each other as teammates, and it was the most exciting race for us. Oh, I'm so happy. Oh, it's amazing. Right, focus, one race left to go.
That's a very valid point. Yeah, okay. But
we liked it too, Tom, as well.
But Matt, that is the dichotomy of being a racing driver. Yeah, I've won. Right, now, how am I going to win the next one? I mean, it's that far. I mean, here it's that fast because there is a second race, but, you know, the next morning you wake up, no matter how momentous your victory is, and your paranoia is, how am I going to win the next one?
Well, even if you win a championship, Martin, the next morning you wake up and you go, well, okay, we've got next year.
Yep.
So it's, you never stop until the time you finish.
And apparently then you don't stop, Ivan. You get called up late in the day to come and ride shotgun.
And he did a damn good job of riding shotgun that race, didn't he, as well?
Absolutely. And there you go. And it's not to say that Nesta Girolami wouldn't have, but if you've got a 4-time world champion on the strength and you want to win the championship, then, you know, you use what cards you've got.
I reckon pulling Muller back into the frame, Ronnie Hartfelt will have had a lot to do with that.
Entirely possible. Let's hear from Ted Björk.
He's in touching distance, isn't he? He's got his fingernails.
Thank you to the man behind me. Fantastic. He's a great guy. Nestor is one of the great guys. So I have just so good teammates. I feel very happy together with them. And it's together, okay? One more.
One more, indeed.
You can tell he's getting nervous. He's got his fingernails on the trophy.
Kevin Gleeson, third position. Well, with, I've got to say, being surrounded by Citroens, realistically, that's probably as much as he might have hoped for, was to get on the podium. With Chilton and Banani behind, going at it hammer and tongs, then you would expect that they would be quicker and would get by you. Maybe not easily, and they certainly didn't get by him easily. They really had to work for it. He didn't, you know, let them by. They had to work hard and get around the outside, but the Citroen has got such great traction. That was its hallmark right from day one, and still is.
In fairness to Gleeson and Philippi, they didn't make a mistake.
Nope.
If they'd have made a mistake, you know, the others have been through, and
yep, exactly so. So Tom Chilton from 5th on the grid claims victory. Mehdi Banani from 4th on the grid, 2nd place, and your opening race poleman Kevin Gleeson is in 3rd place, completing the podium. The critical point score, though, is Ted Björk in 5th and Norbert Mikulits in 9th. So that will put a lot more open water between the championship leader and his only rival as we get into the final race. I'm not even going to think about doing mental arithmetic, and I'm not going to get a calculator out, so we'll wait for the graphics to tell us what the points differences are. And none of the pressmen have yet to come up with an answer either. So Volvo now 8.66 ahead of 8.34 for Honda, so it's at 32.5 points. So it is still going down to the final race between the manufacturers. Volvo's, unless they all suffer a cataclysmic Peugeot Le Mans style engine failure, then they are more than one hand on the trophy. They've got it in there under their jacket, and they're sneaking quietly out of the room with it at the moment. And as for Norby, well, he and Ted Björk, the battle is still on. But in the final countdown, I think that Björk must be feeling a lot more relaxed than he might have been when he went to bed last night.
Very pleased. Tom Chilton will be climbing out of his Citroen Elise in a couple of seconds.
It was a good, close battle between him and Mehdi Banani.
It was a great battle for a few laps, wasn't it?
Bit of door banging in both directions, and yeah, they both knew how important it was to try and stay in front. There's his dad, halfway there. So we'll try and get a word with him in a moment. And then hopefully the graphics generator will actually generate some points for the Drivers' Championship. Although it does seem to be struggling a bit at the moment. Alex Legui is down in the pit lane with our opening race winner, Tom Chilton. So let's hear from Tom and Alex.
Tom Chilton, you just said over the radio then that was the race of your life. You gave us such an exciting battle. Congratulations, winner, winner.
You stalker, chicken dinner. Oh wow, yeah. I mean, it was the race of my life. Not just in terms of how good the overtaking was, in terms of 1 minute Mehdi's got me, then I've got him back, and we weren't giving each other an inch. 1 minute I thought Mehdi was going to put me in the tyres. But in terms of this is for a world championship, an FIA world championship in my class, which I'm currently leading. We went into this round with me only half point ahead, and now got a few points ahead going into the last one, which I start ahead of Mehdi on. And it couldn't happen at a better time. I'm really, really happy with the car at the moment, which you can see on circuit. And my team, thank you so much for all the hard work.
We are absolutely delighted. Well done.
Okay, so Norbert Mikulits now trails by 16.5 points with 30 on offer in the main race here in Qatar. So that is the main Drivers' Championship battle. And that's how they finished in the opening race. Well, Kevin Gleeson in a strong third place, John Philippi in fourth. He has been slightly intimidated, I think, perhaps by some of the other drivers around him, just by who they are, and has tended on occasion perhaps to lose positions rather more easily than some of his peers would. But again, perhaps if Ted Bjerke had come calling, that might have been a bit of a difference. So 16.5 points is the gap between Ted Bjerke and Norbert Mikulits. Tom Chilton now 1.5 points ahead of Mehdi Banani in the overall standings, and in the independents he will have a slightly larger advantage. Now, unfortunately, we're going to have to wait for that to come up, because I can't count and talk and watch 3 different screens at the same time. So if you've got the maths. So a little bit of sweeping up being done here on the track at the Lusail International Circuit, and our opening race podium getting ready to go ahead. Because it is the championship decider, there is just a little bit more time between the 2 races here, and when titles have been decided, we will, if they're not on the main podium, we will bring our champions up on the main podium as well after the final race of the season. So we alluded to a little bit earlier during the race. We'll talk briefly in a moment about the plans for next season.
Lusail International Circuit, the race of Qatar of the World Touring Car Championship 2017. Please welcome our drivers onto the podium. From RC Motorsport in 3rd position, it's Kevin Gleeson. From Sebastian Loeb Racing, our 2nd position driver, it's Mehdi Banani. again from Sebastian Loeb Racing. The winner of the opening race here is Tom Chilton. Already on the podium from Sebastian Loeb Racing, our WTCC trophy winner is Tom Chilton. Representing our winning manufacturer, Sebastian Loeb Racing, is Nick Sylvester.
Tom's engineer gets a chance to come out and join his driver on the podium. And we'll hear the anthem of our winning driver. So first ever World Touring Car Championship podium for Kevin Gleeson. Congratulations to him. And the silver medal goes to Mehdi Banani. Gold medal, the race winner is Tom Chilton, both for Sebastian Loeb Racing. So Kevin Gleeson, his second pole position start in an opening race. He gets the third place trophy. And looking like a happy bunny, and rightly so. Matt, he did a good job, didn't he, in clinging onto that position ahead of the cars behind him.
Presenting the trophy to
it's a great result. He's been learning a lot. He's been sort of outshone a wee bit by El Haché this year, but he's definitely he's come on strong, and he's really he's flourished as the second half of the season's gone on, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. He's really started to get to grips with the car, and that's exactly what you hope for from a driver. So, yeah, good news from him. Lots of social media pictures just about to be sent out. We've had a couple of questions asking about the future for the World Touring Car Championship. The TC1 regulations that we're currently using won't be used next year, we understand. At least that's the proposal that's going to be put to the World Motorsport Council at the beginning of the week, and it should be ratified by, I think, Wednesday is the day for the FIA's World Motorsport Council to ratify plans for championships for next year. And we understand that the concept is that we will use TCR regulations for the championship for the next couple of seasons. Whether or not it remains the World Touring Car Championship remains to be seen, but it will be the same Eurosport Events organisers. The calendar that they had anticipated using for next year will be used for next year. So it's basically a blending of TCR International Series and the World Touring Car Championship Series. And the advantage of the TCR rules is there are lots of cars out there already. It specifically is not a manufacturer-led championship. Manufacturers allow tuners like Jasport or Seat Sport to build cars, and you can go out and buy them then for considerably lower price points than the extremely expensive TC1 cars. So it could well be a roadmap for the future.
Well done, boys.
So the future may be decided during the week, and it could see the return of an awful lot of teams and drivers that have once been World Touring Car contenders and haven't been in the last few seasons. And we'll bring in cars from potentially from new manufacturers like Hyundai's new car that's been developed by Gabriele Tarquini, among others.
And it'll also give independents like Tom Coronel a fighting chance at race wins and regular podiums, won't it?
Yeah, because there won't be a factory team keeping their cars to themselves and then charging you £1 million a year to rent one.
But there's going to be an announcement on December the 6th, so that's next week, and people can always locate it via the FIA-WTC.com website. So
I'm sure it'll be all over social media when it comes out. So in the World Touring Car Trophy, the gap now is 1.5 points between Chilton and Banani. Yawning gap, and Huffy is still in with a shot if his rivals completely collapse. However, it looks as though it is a two-horse race in all of our championship battles.